Team, welcome to another episode of Ask Top, sponsored by MentorMilitary.com, and I'm your host, Command Sergeant Major Retired Mark Garrett. Today is part 2 of evaluation profiling. In part 1, we discussed about racking and stacking. In part 2, we're going to go through a lot of important methodology steps and things to think about as you begin to rack and stack your people. It's incredibly important that you be able to explain to your soldiers and your teammates why you gave them the rating you gave them. If you have a system, if something comes into question, you can always lay it out and say, here's the system I use to apply things fair and across the board. So, with that said, please do me a favor, reach down, hit that subscribe button, stay with us, stay updated with all the videos that we put out and the information that we're sharing. Give us a like, give us a share, tell your friends about us. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the program here. So our references for today are the standard AR and DAPAM 623-3 on the evaluation systems. At Mentor Military, you can find appraisals, ratings, and reviews, which talks a lot about how to rack and stack the information that I'm giving to you today. The Evaluator, everything you need to know about OERs, NCOERs, and RadarQuick is a software program that helps you work yourself through the evaluation process. Includes a lot of information on relief for cause and things, appeals, things that you normally don't see. So again, if you'd reach out to MentorMilitary.com, we've got all of your professional development needs covered: counseling, evaluations, writing, promotions, uniform training, leadership. If it's professional development, it's here at Mentor Military. Please give us a shot and just reach out there, tell your friends about us. Questions to consider. How do we get to our top block people? The first thing you should do is ask yourself some questions. Why do I see this individual in my top block? What makes them different? What makes them stand apart? Is there anything that I'm looking at them in a way that I shouldn't be looking at them? Am I giving them an unfair advantage? What are the facts? Why do I consider this individual in my bottom block? Is there any animosity towards this person? Is there a personality conflict? What is their level of competency? Are they a team player? How do they solve problems? Do they look out for the health and welfare of their team? If so, how? So these are questions that should start coming to your mind and thinking through as you start to rate your people. Are they a leader? What areas do they need improvement upon? Do areas of improvement knock them out of the top block? In other words, if the area they have to improve upon is major, everything else is great, but this one thing, does it knock them out of the top block? How long have they served in their current grade? This is important because, we don't know everything. And when we're promoted to that new grade, sometimes we're still learning. Most times, in fact, we're still learning. So is it their fault, or they just lack experience and wisdom because they don't have a lot of time in grade? There's nothing wrong with that. Just be able to explain that. Are they making simple mistakes based on lack of maturity, experience, or is there a blatant disregard? Think about that. Honest mistakes, simple mistakes, lack of maturity, lack of experience, or are these things what I call unforgivable sins? Are they illegal, unethical, immoral, unsafe? Those are blatant disregard. That cannot be tolerated. Have they taken action to expand their education? If so, how? How have they developed others? How have they improved their efficiency? How have they improved training? What is the next step for them in talent management? How do they carry themselves? Do they have sound judgment? Are they good problem solvers? Are they mentally resilient, and do they monitor the behavioral health of their team? If so, how are they doing it? Do they set the example? How do they develop their subordinates? What have they achieved? What is the real reason you have placed this soldier in a specific rank order in the rack and stack? Why have you done it? Is it a gut check, or is it fact? What's the soldier's daily attitude and tone? Top blocks. You've gathered your resources. You've examined and critically thought through all the information contained in your resources. Now, name 2 to 3 things the leader has failed to do. Name 2 to 3 things the great leaders have achieved. Now, determining top blocks. Let me back up here. Has this impacted your ranking in any way? All the information we've gone through so far. Have you found something that you would have otherwise overlooked? Take a step back and look at the facts and data one more time. Now rack and stack. So let's see what the rack and stack looks like. Our initial rack and stack in part 1 looked like this. Now our new rack and stack looks like this. So Bob went from second to first, and Sherry went to second. Diane went to fourth. Robert, who was number 9, went to 7, and Mike stayed the same, and Sarah went from 8 to 9. So you see how this works. You're going to discover things about people from your initial rack and stack, and then you're going to do the final rack and stack based on a specific methodology. You don't have to use mine. You can use anything you want, but use this, and then also look at them in terms of what are their administrative capabilities? What are their field capabilities? Are they good in their MOS? Are they not good with administrative things? Are they not good with soldiers or people? What are their issues? Use that information to rack and stack them. Now, how do you verify? You got to verify your data. Is there anything else you can use as a reasonable discriminatory element? Do you have any unanswered questions? Did your rank change? Odds are there should have been some. If so, why did they change? It's important to understand why. Can you support your changes? Why did you make those changes? Wordsmithing is incredibly important. How you say it is just as important as what you say. What you think about that. Great leader, 1 out of 15 staff sergeants I've rated, compared to great leader, promote with peers. You need to have a notepad. That notepad or your electronic device needs to have a page with each soldier on it, and you write down daily events that are important, good or bad. Recognition from chain of command, things they did good, and every one of your leaders should have a notepad. Make it a requirement. What resources are available to you to use as fact checkers? What research will you use to arrive at your decision? How do you determine your top blocks? Consequences, intended and unintended. When you write this evaluation report, keep in mind you have the career of this individual at your hands, at your fingertips. Is it your intent for them not to get promoted? Is your intent for them to go before a QMP board? Is it your intent for them to get promoted with their peers? What is your intent? If you just think you're writing it and it's not going to harm them, and it turns out to have unintended consequences of putting them in a QMP board, is that what you intended? If not, you should have thought through your decisions. Remember, critical thinking is important. You must understand not only the intended consequences, but the unintended consequences. What is your rank ordering system? What are you using? Because you may get challenged, and we get challenged, you should be able to say, here's how I ranked everybody. This is the way I came to my decision. You can't reinforce, verify your information. Remember, initial rack and stacks off the top of your head. It's based on what you hear and see every day. It doesn't include factual data. It provides you the ability to see your bias, gives you a cross-check on your decision. Rank order your team. Initial rack and stack is random, like we showed. Here's our final rack and stack, random. There's our initial. So everybody changed. We did a random, which was our initial. Then we did our rack and stack, which changed. And then we looked at Teresa, items 1 through 4, Teresa, John, Mark, and Frank, and we figured out where we would put them. Teresa would become a 4, John would become a 5, Mark would become a 6, and Frank would become a 7. So that's how we got to our numbers. Random was just based on everyday stuff. Initial was based on facts, And then satisfactory fell out in the middle, and we had to split hairs to get them to be where we wanted them in satisfactory order. I've talked about the Notepad, what they do well, what they need to sustain, what they need to improve, and recognition, counseling, coaching, evaluations, awards, promotions. All of this information is stuff that you can jot down just a couple of notes or a couple of words each day or once a week. It's important that you do this. I cannot stress this enough. Where do you get your resources from? You got personnel files, coaching, counseling records, disciplinary issues, awards, achievements, personal observations, recent promotion, recent projects, 360-degree feedback, senior management comments, previous evaluations, input from the Soldier's Achievement folder. All of these are resources you can use. How do you research? Use all your resources, think through the information critically, evaluate the soldier using the whole soldier concept. Just because the soldier needs to improve somewhere, has a problem, doesn't mean that they're a piece of trash and they go at the bottom or they go in the middle. Sometimes they're great soldiers, and what is wrong can still allow them to be in the top blocks. Other times, it might be serious enough to move them out of the top blocks, but not to the bottom blocks. You got to be able to tell people why and how you came to your decision. Areas to consider during research are education, competence, training, leadership, accountability, responsibility, safety, ability to work with others, problem solving, critical thinking, discipline, sexual assault, harassment, punishments. So these are all areas that you could consider during your research. A good book to look at is Appraisals, Ratings, and Reviews. It will walk you through the process of racking and stacking. You can find it at mentormilitary.com. There's Rater Quick that helps with evaluations, and the Evaluator, everything you need to know about evaluation systems for the Army. The scoring is prone to inflation and contains subjective elements. Understand the norms in your specific field and unit. What do I mean by that? Frequently, it could be that in your field, if somebody's not rated the highest they can be rated, they're not going to get promoted. So you need to understand what the norms are and stay as true to possible as the intent of the evaluation report system without hurting those people by having a rating system that is too hard based on that MOS. Some MOSs, like I said, simply have higher scoring than the other MOSs. Why? Because people don't apply the same standards. Again, we have to talk about unintended and intended consequences. Look at your profile. See what it looks like. See how you got there. See if you need to modify your methodology. Gather and review your information. Make rough notes and organize information into performance categories. We've talked about these categories. So, workflow. Make the initial drafts of the statements. Refine your statements. Make sure you have a methodology you can apply consistently in the future. Don't labor over every piece of information in the beginning. Look for large achievements that really stand out. This will help you get to your top 3 and bottom 3. Then start taking a hard look at the middle. Then start looking at the entire picture to make the minor adjustments. Write a summary of your personal performance observation of the soldier. Share your profile information with the team so they know what to expect for top blocks. Discuss scoring methods with your peers and senior leaders. Speak with your S1 about trends. Seek guidance and mentoring from senior leaders. Cover your bases. Save your top blocks for deserving individuals. That's all for this episode. Please stop by mentormilitary.com and check us out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we really like to hear from you. What do you think about today's episode? What items would you like to see in the future? Thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you in the future on our next episode.